Hey everyone, it's Leanne. Welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. Today I have a birthday card to share with you, and this is using a digital stamp that I created myself, and I will have that available in my Etsy shop link below. So I'm using a top folded A2 card, some perfectly plaid paper from Lawn Fawn, and this is the drawing I have, and I use my circle template to create this little owl. Now I'm just inking this with my micron pens, and once I have him inked, then I will create my digital stamp. Now I was going to take my circle template and trace him out, and I just found that when I did that it looked too controlled and restricted, and so I decided to do it again and just draw it freehand, and it felt more organic and kind of had a little life to it. So this is how I chose to do this. And so just using the micron pens, I did a variance of different sizes, and I find that with the bigger sizes, they work for outlining major parts of the image. And then I used my smaller micron just to do the finite details in the drawing. So once I have this inked, I convert it to a digital image, and I have an Adobe app that helps me with that. And then I can create this as a download, a digital download for you guys to use as well. So this is really fun, and it's sort of a new thing for me, doing digital stamps and stuff. I'm not new to digital media. I work as a graphic designer, so I have lots of experience on that side, but doing my own art is definitely new for me. So hopefully you guys like this stamp and this little owl here. So I'm creating this for my grandmother's birthday. Her favorite animal is owls. So I did a little owl theme. So I got her an owl card and an owl gift bag and an owl coffee mug and anything I could find with owls on it. I bought her a bunch of nice little personal things. So I'm just getting this all inked up, and then I'm going to set this aside to dry before I use my COPIC markers, because it does take a little bit for the ink just to absorb into the paper and become waterproof. And so if you don't wait for that transition period, you can make quite a mess. So once it is dry, I'm coming back in with my white eraser and just taking out my pencil lines that I put down as a rough guide when I drew this out. So now I'm going to work on the background here, and I'm going to use one of the perfectly plaid papers. These are gorgeous. They came out last year from Lawn Fawn. And so I'm going to use this one here. This plaid paper kind of looks like jelly bean colors, and I thought it was really bright and whimsical for a birthday card, really pretty, and had lots of fun colors to work with. Now, because it has straight lines, I want to make sure that it lines up perfectly straight on my backing. I don't want to have it hanging over the edge and lines being cut off and that sort of thing. So I made sure that everything looked like it would be straight on the front, and then I'm just adding my tape roller to the back of my card, and then I'm going to attach this onto the paper. So at this point I haven't trimmed it down. I want to eyeball it and make sure that it's all very straight. And so very carefully I set it down, really paying attention to that top border, making sure that it is even on both sides. And then I'm going to come in and trim off the edges on my cutting mat. And so when I do this, I can also get a really nice flush edge. And so I'm not kind of guessing and cutting it separate and then trying to stick it together perfectly. This way, putting it together in this sequence makes it really nice because I can make that edge look professional. It's the same width of the card and the back as well, so they line up really nicely. And so I checked the lines there and everything was straight, so I was super happy because there is always the chance that things could shift a little bit. So it all came out perfect, and I was so happy because this was for my grandma, so it was super special. So I've taken my circle template and cut out this circle that fit comfortably on the front of the card, and this is just loose leaf paper from Michaels. And I'm using one of the sentiment banners from Lawn Fawn as well, and I've cut this sentiment banner out of a loose leaf sheet as well from Michaels. I'm going to use the sentiment from my fairy stamp set, Have a Magical Day. And so I'm going to use Versamark because I'm going to emboss this on the banners, the banner element. So I'm using the color Snow from the Recollections collection, and I'm just brushing this with a mop brush and some kitchen flour to make sure that the embossing powder doesn't stick where it shouldn't be. Coming in with the Versamark ink, I'm stamping the sentiment onto the banner, and then I will coat this with the embossing powder. And this is the fun part because you get to see what you stamped come alive. And then once I have this ready, I'm going to run it under my heat gun off camera and just emboss that so it makes it all sort of kind of plasticky and hard and shiny. And so I've put my elements at the top of the page because when I color my owl, I want to make sure that I'm pulling in colors that match my base. And so everything sort of is harmonious and ties together. So I'm using that as inspiration when I pick the colors for the different elements of the little owl. Now there's a slight bit of a yellow-green in the pattern paper, and so I thought that would be really pretty for the eyes because I wanted to keep more blues and purples and pinks for the owl itself. So I thought the green was a nice way to tie in something a little more on the different side of the spectrum, but not a large element. And so I'm just adding in shadows here, and so when I put shadows on, every time I put a shadow, I come back in with my base color, which is a lighter color, and I just go across the edge of my shadow, so it really softens out that harsh edge and makes it more gradiated and blended into the base color. And so it really gives a nice soft dimension. And I find it's pretty easy to achieve this with just 2 colors. You don't need 3. 3 sometimes can be good if you have a larger area to color, but I find mostly with stamps they don't occupy a lot of space, so you can pretty much get away with 2 colors. And the nice thing about Copic markers is you can layer them too, so your first wash of color will be lighter than your second wash of the same color. And you can also use that to your advantage when you're coloring as well. If you do a quick light base wash, then you can come in with that same color, pretty much almost every color this applies to, and you can create your shadows with that same color, and it does make a darker shadow. And then if you have a darker color in the same color field, then you can come in and enhance that shadow and make it a little bit darker. So these markers are really versatile and they're super amazing to work with. So I'm just doing shadows under the little wheels on the wings. They're like the feather layers, and just creating shadow along the outside edge as well because the body's round. So I want to give a little bit of that curvature look and feel. And then I'm using the out part of the feathers as the darker pink, and then the base color of the owl is that baby pink. And then just getting the cake and the candles all colored in. So these are super fun. This was a lot of fun to color. I had a lot of fun picking out the colors. I spent a little bit of time just looking at my color chart and really pulling out colors that I thought would complement that background really nicely, that plaid. And so I was happy with the way everything turned out. So now is the part that I don't like. I have to cut this out. So I am cutting it out just loosely first to make it smaller and more manageable. And then I'm coming in with my tiny scissors. I have these scissors from Westcott and I got them at Staples. And they're super nice scissors. They're really easy to maneuver with because they're tiny. So it makes it a little bit easier. And because this is a simple shape, it's easier to cut out as well. So now I'm coming in with a large micron pen. I have a 0.8 and it's the largest size I have. And I'm just doing the edge of that cut area. So when the owl is adhered to the card, you won't see white cut edges on the outside if you look at the sides. Just coloring that in with that pen just kind of helps it look a little more finished and polished. So for the assembly, I'm using foam tape. And so just placing this dead center as much as I can, just eyeballing it. And then I'm going to use foam tape on my sentiment banner as well. I really wanted to just bling up this card and make it super poppy and fun and colorful. So I put my owl down for placement just to see where I wanted that banner to land. I don't want the owl to touch the banner, but I want them to be a comfortable position over top of the teal colored base circle. So using foam tape on my owl as well, I'm going to put her into place. And I like using my X-Acto knife just because if my hand's in the way, it's hard to see where to put the elements and how to center them, eyeball them. Now I'm coming in with a Uniball Signo pen in white. It's like a white gel pen. And I'm just trimming the edge of that teal background. I find that this just kind of gives it a finished look and it helps tie in that white embossing from the sentiment banner. So nothing too big, just a nice fine trim circle around the edge. And then I have this Jelly Roll pen in blue, and this is the symbol that it has on it. There's two different types, but this one has that little star symbol. And I'm just coming along the edge of the sentiment banner and doing the same thing I did with my white pen and just trimming that edge. And it looks like it's been dipped in glitter and glue or something. Like it has that nice finished edge to it, and it looks so pretty. And honestly, these pens I found in a bucket from when I think I was in high school the other day in my craft room. So I'm going to buy more at Michael's because they're just gorgeous. This glitter is just beautiful. And so now I'm going to come in with a Wink of Stella brush pen in clear glitter. And I'm just going to add some glitter to the owl just to help tie in the glitter that is happening in the sentiment banner. So I'm only putting it in small areas, just enough to give it a little bit of subtle, little subtle bling. It's easy to get carried away with this pen though. You could color the whole thing. It's fun to paint with. So there you have it. This is the owl birthday card I created for my grandma using a digital stamp that I created myself. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you're notified the next time I post a video. Thank you so much for watching.